Verse for opening a sutra. The unsurpassed profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. The Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 26, The 10 Grounds. At that time, the world-honored one was in the royal palace in the heaven of the comfort of others' transformations, in the hall of treasuries of money jewels, together with a gathering of great Bodhisattvas. All these Bodhisattvas were irreversible from Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi, had assembled from the worlds of the other directions. They dwelt in the state of wisdom, in which all Bodhisattvas dwell. They had entered in the place of wisdom, which all Bodhisattvas dwell. They had entered the place of wisdom, which all the dust-come ones enter, and diligently practiced without rest. They were well able to manifest all kinds of spiritual penetrations, and all that they did to teach, transform, tame, and subdue living beings was done at the right time. In order to accomplish all Bodhisattvas' great vows, in all worlds, in all kalpas, in all lands, they diligently cultivated all practices without slacking even momentarily. They were replete with the Bodhisattva's blessing and wisdom, the aids to the way by which they universally benefited living beings without shirking. They had arrived at the ultimate shore of Bodhisattva's wisdom and expedience. They manifested entry into birth and death as identical with nirvana, yet they did not renounce the cultivation of Bodhisattva practices. They were skilled at entering all Bodhisattvas' dhyanas, liberations, samadhis, samapatis, spiritual penetrations, and clear knowledges. In all they did, they obtained comfort. They acquired all Bodhisattvas' comfortable spiritual powers, and in an instant, without movement or exertion, they could go to the assemblies of all the dust-come ones, Bodhimandas, act as leaders of the assembly, and request the Buddha to speak Dharma. They protected and upheld the Buddha's proper Dharma will. They used the vast, great mind to make offerings to and serve all Buddhas. They always diligently practiced the deeds which all Bodhisattvas practice. Their bodies universally appeared in all worlds. Their voices reached throughout the Dharma realms of the 10 directions. Their mind's wisdom was unobstructed. They universally saw the merit and virtue of all Bodhisattvas of the 3 periods of time. They had already cultivated and obtained perfection. In ineffably many kalpas, they could not completely be described. Their names were Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, Jeweled Treasury Bodhisattva, Lotus Treasury Bodhisattva, Virtue Treasury Bodhisattva, Treasury of Lotus Virtues Bodhisattva, Sun Treasury Bodhisattva, Treasury of Surya Bodhisattva, Treasury of Undefiled Moons Bodhisattva, Treasury of Adornments Universally Manifesting in All Countries Bodhisattva, Treasury of Vairochana Wisdom Bodhisattva, Treasury of Wonderful Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Chandana Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Flower Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Kusuma Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Utpala Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Heavenly Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Blessings and Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Unobstructed Pure Wisdom Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Merit and Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Narayana Virtues Bodhisattva, Treasury of Non-Defilement Bodhisattva, Treasury of Freedom from Filth Bodhisattva, Treasury of Versatile Eloquence Adornments Bodhisattva, Treasury of Great Bright Light Nets Bodhisattva, Treasury of Pure Awesome Virtues like King Bodhisattva, Treasury of Gold Adornments and the Light of Great Merit and Virtues King Bodhisattva, Treasury of adornments of all marks, pure virtues, Bodhisattva. Treasury of Vajra, blazing virtues and adorning marks, Bodhisattva. Treasury of blazing light, Bodhisattva. Treasury of light illumination, constellation king, Bodhisattva. Treasury of empty space and unobstructed wisdom, Bodhisattva. Treasury of unobstructed wondrous sounds, Bodhisattva. Treasury of Dharani merit and virtues to maintain the vows of living beings, Bodhisattva. Treasury of sea adornments, Bodhisattva. Treasury of Sumeru virtues, Bodhisattva. Treasury of purity of merit and virtues, Bodhisattva. The Thus Come One's Treasury, Bodhisattva. Treasury of the Buddhist virtues, Bodhisattva. Moon of liberation, Bodhisattva, and all the other numberless, limitless, boundless, incomparable, uncountable, indescribable, inconceivable, illimitable, and ineffable multitudes of Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, with Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva as their leader. At that time, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva received the Buddhist spiritual power and entered the Bodhisattva's great wisdom-like Samadhi. After he entered that Samadhi, in each of the 10 directions were worlds beyond the number of fine motes of dust in 10 million Buddha lands, each of which contained Buddhas to the number of fine motes of dust in 10 million Buddha lands, all bearing the same name, Vajra Treasury. All those Buddhas appeared before him and said, good indeed, Vajra Treasury, that you are able to enter this Bodhisattva's great wisdom-like Samadhi. Good man, this is due to the combined aid of the Buddhas throughout the 10 directions to the number of fine motes of dust in 10 million Buddha lands. It is also due to the power of the basic vows and awesome spiritual might of Vairochana, Thus Come One, Arahat, of right and equal enlightenment. It is also due to the power of your supreme wisdom. They wish to cause you to have the light to speak all inconceivable Buddha Dharmas for all Bodhisattvas, that is to bring about entry into the ground of wisdom, the gathering in of good roots, the skillful selection of Buddha Dharmas, vast knowledge of all Dharmas, skillful ability to speak Dharma, purification of undiscriminating wisdom, non-defilement of all worldly Dharmas, purification of world-transcending good roots, obtaining inconceivable state of wisdom, obtaining all wisdom and entry to states of wisdom. They also wish to bring about obtaining of Bodhisattva's 10 grounds from beginning to end, and accurate speaking of the distinctive characteristics of the Bodhisattva's 10 grounds, following and being mindful of all Buddhist dharmas, cultivating, studying, and discriminating non-outflowing dharmas, cleverly adorning through the light of great wisdom of skillful selection and contemplation, skillfully entering the door of decisive wisdom, according to dwelling places manifesting in sequence and speaking without fear, obtaining the light of unobstructed eloquence, dwelling on the ground of great eloquence, and having skillful decisiveness, being so mindful of the Bodhisattvas that one never forgets them, maturing all the realms of living beings, being able to pervasively to go to all places and be sure to be enlightened. Good men, you should eloquently discuss these distinctions of Dharma doors and good and clever methods, which is to say, receiving the Buddhist spiritual power, to be aided by the Thus Come One's light of wisdom, to purify one's own good roots, to universally purify the Dharma realms, to completely gather in living beings, to deeply enter the Dharma body and the wisdom body, to receive all Buddhist anointment of one's crown, to obtain the tallest, largest body in all worlds, to transcend all worldly ways, to purify world-transcending good roots, to perfect the wisdom of all wisdom. At that time, the Buddhists of the 10 directions, bestowed upon Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva a peerless body, bestowed unobstructed eloquence of delight in speech, bestowed skillfully discriminating pure wisdom, bestowed the power of good memory and non-forgetfulness, bestowed skillfully decisive wisdom of understanding, bestowed the wisdom to reach all places and become enlightened, bestowed the power of ease in accomplishing the way, bestowed the thus come ones fearlessnesses, bestowed those of all wisdoms wisdom of eloquence to contemplate and discriminate all Dharma doors, bestowed all the thus come ones perfected, superior, wonderful adornments of body, speech, and mind. And why? Because upon obtaining this Samadhi, the Dharma is that way. Because of the arisal from past vows, because of profound thought being well purified, because of the wheel of wisdom being well purified, because of aids of the way being well accumulated, because of what one does being well cultivated, because of mindfulness of one as a limitless Dharma vessel, because of knowledge that one has pure faith and understanding, because of flawless maintaining and upholding being obtained, because of skillful application of the seal of wisdom of the Dharma realm. At that time, all the Buddhas of the 10 directions extended their right hands and rubbed Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva on the crown. After they had rubbed his crown, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva arose from Samadhi and told all the assembly of Bodhisattvas, disciples of the Buddha, all Bodhisattvas' vows are well decided. They are unadulterated, imperceptible, vast and great like the Dharma realm, ultimately like empty space, exhausting the boundaries of the future. These Bodhisattvas pervade all Buddha lands and rescue and protect all living beings. They are protected by Buddhas. They enter the grounds of wisdom of all Buddhas of the past, the future, and the present. Disciples of the Buddha, what are the grounds of wisdom of the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas? Disciples of the Buddha, the grounds of wisdom of the Bodhisattvas Mahasattvas are of 10 kinds, which all Buddhas of the past, the future, and the present have spoken, will speak, and are speaking. I also speak them thus. What are the 10? 1. The ground of happiness. 2. The ground of living filth. 3. The ground of emitting light. 4. The ground of blazing wisdom. 5. The ground of invincibility. 6. The ground of manifestation. 7. The ground of traveling far. 8. The ground of immovability. 9. The ground of good wisdom. 10. The ground of the Dharma cloud. Disciples of the Buddha, these 10 grounds have been explained, will be explained, and are being explained by all Buddhas of the 3 periods of time. Disciples of the Buddha, I've not seen any thus come ones in any Buddha lands who do not speak these 10 grounds. And why? They are the Bodhisattvas Mahasattvas, most superior path to Bodhi. They are also doors of pure Dharma light, namely, the detailed explanation of all Bodhisattvas' grounds. Disciples of the Buddha, this place is inconceivable, namely, the wisdom accordingly certified to by Bodhisattvas. At that time, after Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva had finished speaking the names of the 10 grounds, he remained silent and did not further distinguish them. Thereupon, all the assembly of Bodhisattvas, upon hearing the names of the Bodhisattvas' 10 grounds, but not hearing their explanation, all looked up in thirst and had this thought: what is the cause and what is the reason that Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva only speaks the names of the Bodhisattvas' 10 grounds, yet does not explain them? Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva, knowing what was being thought by all those in the great assembly, used verses to question, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattvas, saying, "Why is it that the pure enlightened one, replete with mindfulness, wisdom, and virtue, speaks of the superior wondrous grounds, yet with power to do so, still does not explain them? You have decisiveness and judgment, are courageous and are not weak-willed. Why do you only name the 10 grounds without going on then to discuss them? The wonderful doctrines of the grounds, all those assembled wish to hear. Their minds show no trace of cowardice. They wish you to speak them in detail. The multitudes assembled are all pure, devoid of laxness. Stern they are and clear, able to be solid and unmoving, with merit, virtue, wisdom, all endowed. Mutually they look to you in reverence, all of them intent with upward gaze, like bees that are mindful of their honey, like thirsty people thinking of sweet dew. At that time, the greatly wise and fearless Bodhisattva Vajra Treasury, having heard what was said, and wishing to make the assembled multitudes happy, for all disciples of the Buddha, used these verses and said, "The deeds of Bodhisattvas' grounds of practice are sources most supreme of Buddhas all. Clear discussion of them in detail is foremost, rare, and are hard to come upon. Their subtleties are difficult to see. Apart from thought, they go beyond the mind. The states and the realms of Buddhas that appear cause those who hear to be confused and doubt. If one holds the mind like Vajra, with deep faith in the Buddha's foremost wisdom, knowing that the mind ground lacks the self, one can hear these dharmas most supreme. Like pictures that are painted in the air, like traces of the wind in empty space, the wisdom of the Muni is that way, its distinctions very hard for one to see. I am mindful that the wisdom of the Buddhas is superior beyond conception. There's no one in the world who can receive it. Silent then am I, and do not speak." At that time, when Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva heard this said, he addressed Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, saying, "Disciple of the Buddha, the multitudes are already gathered here. They all have well purified the depths of their minds, and have well cleansed their thoughts. They have well cultivated many practices. They have well accumulated the aids to the path. They have been well able to draw near hundreds of thousands of millions of Buddhas. They have accomplished limitless good roots of merit and virtue. They have cast off all stupidity and doubt. They have no defilements. They have deep faith and understanding. Within the Buddha Dharmas, they do not follow other teachings. All is well, disciple of the Buddha. You should receive the Buddha's spiritual power and speak. All these bodhisattvas will be able to certify as knowing all these profound places." At that time, Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses saying, "We wish you to speak of the most tranquil Bodhisattva's practices unsurpassed, discriminating each and every ground, wisdom pure, and accomplishment of proper enlightenment. This assembly is free from all defilements. Their determination and understanding are bright and pure. They have served limitless Buddhas. They can know the meaning of these grounds." At that time, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva said, "Disciples of the Buddha, although the assembly gathered here, all have well purified their thoughts, have cast off stupidity and doubt, and in the deeply profound Dharma, they do not follow others' teachings. There are still other living beings with deficient wisdom, who upon hearing these profound and difficult to conceive of matters would give rise to more doubts, and in the long night they would suffer much distress. I take pity upon them, and therefore remain silent." At that time, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses saying, "Although these multitudes have pure, vast wisdom, and their profound and sharp understanding can make decisive choices. Their minds are moving, like the king of mountains, and cannot be overturned, like the great sea. There are those who have not practiced long, nor yet understood. They practice with consciousness, not with wisdom. Hearing this, they will doubt and fall into bad paths. I take pity on them, and therefore do not speak. At that time, Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva again addressed Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, saying, Disciple of the Buddha, I hope you will receive the Buddha's spiritual power and explain in detail these inconceivable dharmas. These people should obtain the dust come one's protection and mindfulness and give rise to faith and receptivity. And why? When one explains the 10 grounds, the Dharma of all Bodhisattvas is that way, that they obtain the Buddha's protection and mindfulness. Because they obtain the Buddha's protection and mindfulness, they can be courageous about these grounds of wisdom. And why? These are the Bodhisattvas' most initial practices for accomplishing all Buddha's dharmas. Just as written words which say numerous things are based upon an alphabet, in that alphabet is fundamental to them, and none of them departs from it in the slightest. So too, disciple of the Buddha, all Buddha's dharmas are based upon the 10 grounds, in that the 10 grounds are fundamental to them. Through successful cultivation of them, one obtains all wisdom. Therefore, disciple of the Buddha, I wish you would explain them. These people will certainly be protected by the dust come ones and caused to believe and receive these dharmas. At that time, Moon of Liberation Bodhisattva, wishing to restate his meaning, spoke verses saying, Good indeed, disciple of the Buddha, I wish you would proclaim all the grounds of practice to approach and enter Bodhi. Of all the comfortable honored ones throughout the 10 directions, none is not proactive of and mindful of the basic roots of wisdom. Secured in them, that wisdom is also fundamental. All the Buddha's dharmas are produced from them. Just as written words are comprised by alphabets, so too the Buddha's dharmas are based upon these grounds. At that time, all the assembly of great bodhisattvas simultaneously and with a single sound spoke verses to Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, saying, You of superior, wondrous wisdom undefiled, of boundless, discriminating eloquence, please proclaim profound and wonderful words, interactive with the foremost meaning. You who mindfully maintain pure practices and are replete with virtues from 10 powers, with eloquence to discriminate the meanings, please explain the most superior grounds. With Samadhi and precepts joined to form upright thought, free from arrogance as well as deviant view, this assembly has no doubts in mind, and only wants to hear them well explained. As one thirsty thinks of icy water, as one hungry dreams about good food, as one sick reflects on wholesome medicine, as a bee is greedy for good honey, so too do we in just that way wish to hear these dharmas of sweet dew. Good indeed, one of wisdom vast and great, please tell us how to enter the 10 grounds, accomplishing 10 powers without obstruction, and the well-gone ones practices one and all. At that time, the world-honored one, from between his eyebrows, emitted a pure light named blazing light of Bodhisattva's powers, with hundreds of thousands of asankheyas of lights as his retinue, which universally illumine all the worlds throughout the 10 directions, pervading absolutely everywhere. The sufferings of the 3 evil paths all cease to be. It also illuminated the assemblies of all the dust-come ones, manifesting all Buddha's inconceivable powers. It also illuminated the persons of all bodhisattvas speaking the Dharma, with the aid of all Buddhas throughout all worlds in the 10 directions. When finished doing that, It formed a great platform of nets of clouds of light, high in empty space, and remained there. At that time, all the Buddhas of the 10 directions also in that way, from between their eyebrows emitted pure lights. These lights' names, retinues, and actions were all the same as that once. Moreover, they illumined the Buddhas and great assemblies of this Saha world, and the person of the Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva upon his lion's throne, and high in empty space. They form a large platform of nets of clouds of lights. At that time, within the platform of light, through the Buddha's awesome spiritual might, were spoken verses saying, "The Buddha, with no equal, just like empty space, of 10 powers limitless of merit and virtue supreme, among people most victorious, superior in the world, that Sakya lion's dharmas are what gives them aid. Disciple of the Buddha, receive all Buddha's strength. Set forth this King of Dharma's treasury, most supreme, all grounds extensive wisdom, practices wondrous and supreme, through Buddha's awesome spirit, discriminate and speak. Those who have the aid of all the well-gone ones should obtain these Dharma jewels entering their minds, that all grounds undefiled, in order be completed, one must possess as well the thus come one's tenfold power. The one may dwell in blazes of kalpas like the sea, if able to accept them. One doubtless hears these dharmas, but those who harbor doubt and who have no faith will never come to hear the meanings such as these. Please do explain the grounds, the way to supreme wisdom. Enter, dwell within, unfold successive cultivation. From states of cultivation arises Dharma wisdom to benefit and aid each and every living being. At that time, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva contemplated in the 10 directions, and in order to cause those in the great assembly to increase their pure faith, spoke verses saying, "The ways of the thus come ones, great immortals, are subtle, wonderful, and here to comprehend, not thought. They are apart from every thought. Those seeking them in seeing can't attain them. They are not produced and they are not destroyed. Pure of nature are they, and they are always still. Of people undefiled, intelligent and wise, they are the place of practice of their wisdom. Their own nature basically is empty and still. Non-dual it is, but it is also unending. When liberated and set free from all the destinies, one dwells within the identity, that is nirvana. They are not beginning, nor middle, nor end. They are not expressible in words. They transcend the 3 periods of time. Their characteristics are like empty space. The still extinction which the Buddhas practice cannot be described in words. The practice of the grounds is also thus difficult to express, difficult to accept. The Buddha states that arise from wisdom are not thought and leave the path of the mind. They are not the doors of skandhas, realms, or places. The wise know intellect does not reach them. As the traces of a bird in empty space are difficult to express, difficult to discern, so too are the 10 grounds meanings incomprehensible to mind and thought. They who from compassion, kindness, and the power of vows appear and enter the practices of the grounds, gradually reach perfection of the mind. Wisdom's practices are not reflections realm. Such states as these are difficult to perceive. They can be known but cannot be expressed. Through the Buddha's power they are proclaimed. You should receive them with all reverence. Wisdom such as this enters the practices. Millions of aeons speaking does not exhaust them. I now merely speak them in a general way. The true and actual meanings are unending. With a single mind await in reverence, while I receive the Buddhist power and speak the supreme Dharma's subtle wondrous sounds, with analogies and words appropriate. Every Buddhist limitless spiritual powers all come to be, embodied by me. These places are difficult to express. I shall now speak a small portion.